We don't leave the house without it. We spend hours a day staring at it. It's the first thing we look at when we wake up in the morning. It's the last thing we look at before we fall asleep. If it breaks, we have it fixed. If it's lost, we have it replaced. Our lives depend on it. Our lives are consumed by it. And yet, most people fail to recognize the unparalleled power of potential that we hold in our hands.
All right, so let me ask you a question. How did you start Sparks Go Wild?
How did I start Sparks Go Wild? Well, it all started with Snapchat, really. Like, before I ever started making videos to post online, I had a Snapchat account. And so I was making Snapchat. I was adding to my Snapchat story a lot. And I got creative with it, with what I did on Snapchat. So when I made the decision to film for a living, I just kind of branched off from there. I just made work what I had.
But you didn't have any equipment? You just used your phone?
Yeah, when I first started talking about making my living by filming cool videos, I had friends telling me that in order to do that, I was going to have to invest in like thousands of dollars worth of camera and audio equipment. And I mean, there's lots of good equipment out there, don't get me wrong, but I couldn't afford any of that when I started. You know, all I had was my iPhone.
So you got 46 million views on another platform, of course, but all the filming, all the videos you ever created were only with your phone.
Yeah, I've never owned a DSLR camera. I've never owned any special camera at all. All I had was my iPhone 7, so I made it work.
And so if you have any advice for people that want to start filming or want to get into film or want to start a YouTube channel, Facebook Live, whatever it be, they feel that they need to buy a bunch of camera equipment. Like, what's your advice?
Yeah, you don't need to buy any special equipment. Not really. I mean, you can as you progress and grow, but for sure don't think that any content that you might make with your phone isn't worth it because it's not that good quality or whatever. Like, most phones nowadays take great videos, and I had the iPhone 7, so I just started posting videos that I took with my iPhone 7. So everything, like even now, I still use my iPhone. I've upgraded the iPhone, but
so what iPhone do you have now?
I've got the iPhone XS. Been using it for a while now. It's cracked on the front and the back, but it still shoots a good video.
So would you say that do you think you would have got more views if you had better equipment?
I don't think so, honestly, because the fact that I knew I didn't have good equipment, it kind of pushed me towards being more creative with the films that I was trying to create. Because I was aware I didn't have the greatest equipment. I knew what my competition was, even though there was no competition. Like, if you want to make this a career, you got to kind of keep up with, certain standards. But I didn't have the professional equipment to use, so I would get more creative with where I filmed, like the locations. I would try to go places that were really interesting to me. And a lot of times that was the mountains. I would get creative with the camera angles. I'd get creative with what I was filming, what type of content. Got to keep it interesting.
So you'd say content trumps gear.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and the iPhone's pretty portable. Like, you can fit that thing in your pocket. So if you go hiking or if you go mountain biking or whatever, you can whip that thing out and take a video wherever you are. Now imagine a big camera setup. Well, how are you gonna lug that around? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the professional equipment. I'm just saying that it is possible to make a living at this sort of thing without owning the professional grade equipment. It's possible. I did it.
So let me ask you a question. So if you had to give any advice to people, like I said, that are starting out there, honestly though, what's the best way to use the iPhone? Is there settings that you use? I don't get it.
Yeah, there's actually, the iPhone has a broad range of settings. So you can film in 4K, you can film in 1080, you can film slow motion, you can do time lapse. Like there's so much you can do with the iPhone. And the iPhone also comes with a movie editing app, iMovie. And that's all I use.
So you just use the free software?
I use the free software that comes with the Apple product.
All right, so now that you're further into this, you're making this documentary and stuff, so let me ask you a question. Are you ready to upgrade to an
I'm ready, yeah. I think if I upgrade, it's gonna help me focus on being a little more artistic than what I am. Like I'm not saying I haven't been artistic, but when you up the equipment, like it does up the whole quality of the video. I'm not saying the quality is bad with an iPhone, but the quality is a little better, it's richer with the right camera and lens setup. So I'm ready to upgrade.
All right, sounds good. So I guess one last question I would have would be, do you feel that necessarily the biggest point of making films is, like a lot of people say, the story, the exact content that goes into it? That, would you feel that that's really the main key?
That's the main key, yeah, because at the end of the day, when people are watching your content, if they enjoy the type of content, they're not going to be as picky about the quality. Like, I mean, they're going to be intrigued. They're going to be intrigued. If you're creative with the type of content that you're creating, people will be intrigued by it. And
all right, so now we're doing this interview here in Michigan.
I started with 720, by the way. The first videos were 720.
720p. So we're doing this interview here in Michigan. You're back in Detroit, but you've moved to Las Vegas recently, right?
Yeah, I moved to Las Vegas 3 years ago.
And do you feel like the content for you has been better?
For sure, yeah. And one of the reasons is because most of our film productions are filmed outdoors. I enjoy being outside. My dog loves being outside, and we all love being outside. So we're outdoors a lot, and that's where we film most of our content. And Las Vegas, it has more frequent sunlight than it does clouds. So we've got a sunny sky almost all the time.
Did you move out there for any other reasons besides just
No,
trying to make a film career?
I didn't really have any reason. I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I just felt like I was supposed to move out west to Las Vegas for now and just start pursuing my film production. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to create cool videos. I want to be a filmmaker. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I mean, if you looked at me back then, I was living out of my car. I only had an iPhone for a camera. I didn't look like I would ever do anything in the film world. But I was determined to make that iPhone work. And I made some cool videos with it.
So what's the next step for Sparks Go Wild?
The next step, I think we're gonna get it. I think we're gonna get a nice camera, for sure.
And where do you plan to go with this? More YouTube?
More YouTube for sure.
Short films?
Yeah, we're gonna be launching our new website soon, so we're gonna have our own showcase of videos.
And what's the website?
SparksGoWild.com. Check it out.